Grover from Upscale Audio here, and today we're going to be talking about the BluOS 4.0 update. Audiophiles hate this one simple trick. Actually, they don't. But some of the improvements and upgrades that have been made to the new BluOS might surprise you. Let's start with the basics. So those of you who are familiar with the Bluesound node know that it comes with BluOS, which allows you to control all of the different nodes that are in your house, grouping them, accessing music services, browsing through playlists, all that sort of good stuff. Now, what's been missing, however, is a really consumer-grade interface that competes with the best of interfaces from music streaming services. It's always been a solid interface and it works well, but now Bluesound has really taken it to the next level. A few of the interesting changes are the home screen. Now the home screen is kind of adaptive in the new BluOS 4.0. So the very cool thing about this is when you navigate to your home screen, it will change based on what you've played. So if you tend to go to certain music services, if you tend to go to certain playlists, if you tend to go to certain inputs or certain nodes in your entire home, those will show up more frequently and the app will start to learn how you use it. So your home screen will start to reflect where you go and what you listen to. This is a fantastic improvement. Also, those who are familiar with the Bluesound app may notice that it actually is a bit slicker than it was before. Now there's a now playing section down at the bottom. There's a little bit more sophistication to how you transition between the now playing and your queue of music to be played in the future. There's also some basic improvements to help and support, for example, which now are in the same section in settings. So a few overall quality of life improvements, but also, as I mentioned, that new home screen that learns how you use the app and takes you where you want to go quicker and with less clicks. If we move to search, we now find that search is done on a per service basis. So if you want to search in title, you can search and it will also suggest to you things that you might have listened to before, try to guess what you might have listened to. And you can also, as I mentioned, search by the service that you're using. And there's an incredibly wide array of services available on BluOS, everything from Deezer to Tidal to Apple Music to Spotify, you name it, and they've got it. Another improvement is, as I mentioned, to the Now Playing section. So now you can pull this up, much like in Apple Music and Spotify and Tidal, all those apps, Qobuz. Those work, essentially, you tap a little screen at the bottom, it brings up a Now Playing screen, and you can see all sorts of details about your music. What's really cool that Bluesound has added here is a sample rate and bit rate indicator. So it'll say, hey, you're playing something off of Amazon Music. You tap on that little Amazon Music icon, and it will tell you 1644 or 2496, whatever sample rate and bit rate it's being played at. So that's a much requested feature that has finally been added, and I'm really excited about it because now all of us nerds can tell what quality of music we are streaming and from what particular service. As also mentioned, the play queue has been updated. Now you can switch between two tabs, and so it makes it much easier to add things and to rearrange your play queue without interfering so much with your Now Playing section. There's pretty much the same arrangement of grouping of different nodes and different outputs in that menu as there has been before, but there's also generally just improvements to the UX and design overall from a navigation standpoint. The home screen, as I mentioned, has changed somewhat, and in addition to making things easier to navigate and also trying to guess at what you're doing, the new BluOS update also has some interesting quality of life features. One of these improvements is navigation. Now that bottom bar has centralized access to all of the things that you need to look at, and it's much easier from a UX and UI standpoint to navigate through things. There's just less menus, less click-through. It's overall an easier, slicker, and better experience. Really, Bluesound has rethought the navigation experience to be much more centralized as well. And when you're in your Now Playing section or in your general home screen section, you'll find that there are more places where things are sort of grouped together in centralized places that make sense. It's also much easier for someone to access all of the different nodes and to access those audio controls. Within the audio controls, right, not too much has changed in terms of what you can do, but things have been grouped together, much like the help and support menus being grouped together into a single menu area. A lot of things have been centralized, have been consolidated, and again, as I mentioned, the experience of using the app is much slicker. It really feels like a professional level app that is of the equivalent quality, or perhaps even in some ways of a significantly better quality than things like Roon, Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal Connect, all those sorts of things, right? This is really great, thoughtful design, and Bluesound took all of this feedback from you, the users, and integrated it in. They also, if you start up the Bluesound app, look at it, they will have feedback, and this is the feedback that they use to actually make these improvements. So Do give them your feedback if you notice something, because they do use it to make these concrete improvements to the user experience. And I have to say, after the 4.0 update, BluOS is one of my favorite apps to play music on. It just makes things easy. You can select what you want to play, where you want to play. Diagnostic tools are powerful if you're having problems connecting one of your nodes to Wi-Fi. And overall, the experience is just very slick and very seamless. Even people who are not audiophiles, I found, find this an app that's really easy to access and to navigate. Now, one of the things that Bluesound is also passionate about is supporting customers who have purchased a long time ago. So if your device, whether it be a Bluesound node or a third-party device, has BluOS going back 10 years, this update will affect those devices. So you've got support going back a long time, and this is really a great update that I've tried it out and I genuinely think is worth making. Now, eventually, Bluesound will require everyone to move over to this new OS, but in the meantime, you can stay on the old OS if you wish. However, I wouldn't recommend it. This one's just better. That's the scoop, folks. If you want to know more about it or more about the Bluesound node, check out our website, upscaleaudio.com. We have a page on the Bluesound, and you can also find links to the Bluesound page where you can learn more about the nitty-gritty details of exactly what's changed in BluOS 4.0. Again, I do highly recommend making this upgrade. I think it's a big quality of life improvement, and I hope people enjoy this update as much as I have. I'll see you next time.